Hey, this is Jill from SimpleDailyRecipes.com, and I'm getting ready to make a batch of homemade creamy tomato soup, and it is so good. I have someone in my family who's not feeling well this week, and I'm going to take them some tomato soup because I know when I don't feel well, it hits the spot for me, and I know it's going to work for them. This recipe works great for, it serves makes about 6 to 8 servings. And you can put it in 1 cup containers and put it up in the freezer, and it reheats really well. One of the surprising ingredients to this creamy tomato soup is that it does not call for any kind of cream. It actually calls for bread to make it creamy, and it works. You cannot tell that there's not cream in it. So let me show you real quick what goes into the pot. Okay, we're going to start off with a 1/4 cup of oil. You might be tempted to use extra virgin olive oil, which I love extra virgin olive oil, but for this recipe it would get lost. The flavor would just get lost. Save your olive oil for the very end and drizzle it on the top with some croutons. That's where you can really appreciate the flavor. I want to chop up just a medium yellow onion. I'm going to throw in maybe 4 or 5 garlic cloves because I know the person that's going to have this soup loves garlic, and I love garlic. I've made this for my kids, and when I make it for my son especially, I just go back to 2 garlic cloves. So depending on who you're serving, anywhere from 2 to 5. And if you'll notice, I've got my garlic in a mason jar, and the reason for that is I like to freeze my garlic. Sometimes I come into a lot of garlic, or garlic's on sale, and I will painstakingly peel it all and put it in a mason jar and throw it in the freezer, and I have garlic whenever I'm ready to have it. And this helps, it helps a lot. So, and when you want to use it, just take it out, chop it up, and cook it up. It looks, let's see if I can get this, you can't really tell because of my lighting, but it actually has a translucent appearance right now when it's frozen, but I promise once you start cooking the garlic, it returns to its solid white normal look, and it cooks just fine and it tastes just great. You can't tell it's been frozen. So anyways, there's the tip of the day. You can freeze your garlic cloves. We'll also need 1 bay leaf, and here's another tip. See this big jar, this full or half full jar of bay leaves? I buy my spices from a specialty store, like a specialty grocery store. I drive an hour to Dallas to get it, and they have all their spices they sell in bulk. Well, I can fill this jar for 16 cents. Did you hear that right? 16 cents of bay leaves. Now, if I go to the regular spice section or at my grocery store, 7 bay leaves will cost me $5, and you know what I'm talking about. So if you have the opportunity to find a specialty store that sells spices in bulk, go and stock up because it is worth it, I promise. Okay, the next ingredient. You can use pepper flakes, ground red pepper, or I'm going to use a spicy paprika. Okay, and I'm going to use a 4th teaspoon. And once my onions are, the next thing, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, which I like to keep in this big glass jar, 3 slices of regular bread, okay, 2 1-pound cans of diced tomatoes, and 2 cups of chicken broth. And I make my own chicken broth, and I have a recipe for that somewhere on SDR. I'll leave a link. And we're going to add that, and that's it. That's all there's to it. It's pretty simple. Everything is already in your pantry. You know it is. So let's get started putting all this together. Okay, I was waiting for my oil to get hot. I put it on medium-high heat just to get the pot hot, but I'm going to cook this whole soup on medium heat. And to the oil, I'm going to add my onion, which I've roughly chopped. And I didn't even bother chopping the garlic because once the onions and the tomatoes have cooked together, I'm going to hit the whole thing with my favorite kitchen tool, my KitchenAid immersion blender. And this is going to puree the soup, so it doesn't matter how big or small I cook the onions, or cut the onions. Cook the onions in the oil for about 5 minutes, or however long it takes for the onions to become translucent and soft. I forgot to add the bay leaves. You're supposed to add the bay leaves with the garlic and the onions. I don't know why I forgot that. I don't know. I guess because I'm, trying to think about making a video and cook and remember what I'm doing. This is not as easy as it looks. I don't even know if I'm making it look easy, but, it's kind of tricky. And then try to be entertaining or educational. Phew, I'm ready for the next step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 2 pounds of diced tomatoes, juice and all. I'll need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and I like dark brown sugar. Then I want to add my bread, which I've already cut up in like 1-inch cuts, and I didn't bother cutting off the crust. You won't be able to tell. I've done it both ways. I've cut off the crust, and I've left the crust on, and I can't tell either way. One soup from the other. So just, don't waste your bread. Okay. Now, I'm going to stir this together, and I want to bring it back to a boil, and I want it to boil for about 5 minutes, and in that time, the juice from the tomatoes will break down that bread. And now it's a good time to go ahead and add the pepper flakes if you want to. I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of spicy paprika. I just like that stuff. Am I saying it right? I say paprika. Is there any other way to say it? I didn't know if that was my Texas way or not. While I'm waiting for this to boil, I was just thinking, what's your favorite soup to have when you're not feeling good? I like tomato soup. A lot of people like chicken noodle, but I don't know. Everybody's different, and everybody has a different recipe that they grew up on, and maybe their grandmother made that was special to them, and I want to know what it is. So in the comment section below, go ahead and tell me what your favorite soup is. Okay, my bread is all dissolved now, and so all I need to do is fish out my bay leaves. I need to remove this from the heat, and I'm going to hit this with my immersion blender. And right now it's just a big chunky soup, but I'm going to use my immersion blender and turn it into a puree. Or you can use a food processor. It's all up to you. Notice I'm not running this immersion blender like constantly. I'm just zapping it. That keeps it from spraying hot soup all over me. Alright, she's blended. Okay, now all I have to do is add my 2 cups of chicken broth. As soon as this is simmered for, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, it's ready. It's ready to eat, or just divide up in 1 cup servings and put it up in the freezer. Soup is on.